Hey friends, it's April and Eric, and we are so excited for you to listen to our podcast with John Acuff. We had a ton of fun recording with him, and when we recorded, we didn't know that we were going to be affiliating with Michael Hyatt and his Best Year Ever program. We're so excited for you to be able to come into that program as well.
Yeah, we've been using this program for years. We love it. We were going to promote it anyway, but we decided, okay, we want to be affiliates, be able to help bring some of our people from Learn to Become into the program. One of the reasons is being, if anyone buys the Best Year Ever program at the VIP or the live levels, we've decided next year we're actually going to open up and create kind of a beta life architecture group. So anyone who buys the VIP or the live event will actually get full 2008 access to that beta group. It's going to be an amazing experience, a great community, a great neighborhood of people working and growing and kind of figuring out their life plans and architecting that life of excellence. Now, if you're listening to this a week or more after the podcast went live, Michael's Best Year Ever program is probably already closed. That ship has sailed, so we are so sorry. But if you're listening to it now, you've got the opportunity still to come check it out. April and I have got the links here with the podcast. You can go check out Best Year Ever and also a little bit more information about life architecture. We would love to have you with us if it's the right fit. And this really is the only place we'll be kind of connecting up life architecture. We're not going to be opening up for sale next year. We're just going to take people who've bought the program and we're going to use Best Year Ever as a springboard to go into life architecture. So if you're interested, click on over, come check us out. We would love to have you with us if it's the right fit for you.
So the link is learndobecome.com/episode 23. See you there. So excited.
The time is now to architect a life of excellence. What will we do? Who will we become? We decide today. This is Learn, Do, Become Radio with April and Eric Perry. Let's move onward and upward together.
Hello and welcome to Learn, Do, Become Radio. It's April Perry here with my husband, Eric.
Hello, everybody. Glad to have you with us.
And also with John Acuff. You want to say hey, John?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Today we're talking about John's awesome book, Finish, which I just finished last night. I've been reading it for the last several weeks, and Eric and I are going to be going over some of the questions and ideas that John posed in the book, and we have the expert on finishing right here to share with us. So thank you so much for joining us today, John.
Yeah, I think it'll be fun.
Okay, I want to start out with just the concept of goals being fun, because I got your book and I started reading, and then I got to the part where you said, hey, why do we think that our goals have to be these horrible things that we create, almost akin to going to the dentist, and there's not an excitement, there's kind of a dread of, I've got to go get this goal done. But you had just some great perspectives I'd love for you just to share. Why do you make goals fun? How did you even come up with this concept, and how has that impacted you?
Well, one of the goals of the book Finish was to kind of take things we often say and see if they're true. I'm not the first person to write a book about goals. There's a million books about goals, and there's a million sayings, and where, the internet is flooded with pseudo gurus, selling their stuff. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to take some of the popular sayings and kind of run them through the filter of research. And so I partnered with a PhD, and we studied nearly 900 people for 6 months as they worked on goals. And one of the things that came up was that people, especially Americans, think a goal has to be miserable for it to count. So a couple examples of that: somebody would say, I'm going to get in shape. And I'll go, what are you going to do? And they go, I'm going to run. I'll go, do you like running? They go, no, I hate it. That's how I know it's good for me. Or if I ask people, say 5 words you think of when you think of the word goal, they say, commitment, dedication, hustle, willpower, grind. I did that yesterday, and the first word they said was sacrifice. We never say fun, joy, laughter, smiling. Even our most popular, we talked about David Allen before we got on here, and he's certainly set the standard in a lot of things. Another standard people often use when it comes to goals are SMART goals, which stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-bound. And I like those words, just which of those is remotely related to the idea of fun? Like none of them. And so I really wanted to say, I think you'll do something more often and with more enthusiasm and effort if you enjoy it. Like, that's not a crazy thought, but in our modern goal setting kind of dialect it was. And so we studied what would happen if you were deliberate about having fun. Would it impact your success? And there's two metrics you look at. You look at satisfaction and you look at performance. Satisfaction, how did you feel? Performance, how did you do? And I always tell people you have to raise both. A good principle, whether it's mine or somebody else's, raises both, because if I only raise your satisfaction but not your performance, you're smiling all the way to last place. If I only raise your performance but not your satisfaction, you're every rich, miserable, successful person you've ever met. Like, we've all met successful people and thought, you hate life, but you're really successful. Like, and it's because they crushed their performance and they ignored their satisfaction. And so when we asked people to be deliberate about making their goal fun, they were more than 30% more satisfied. But the crazy one is they were 46% more successful. And so the first step in all of this was proving that it mattered. And once I did that, it opened up a lot of conversations.
Okay, I think that's so smart, because initially I would think, well, if you make it fun, you're just not going to be as successful. I think that's a limiting belief that a lot of us have.
I think it's a total limiting belief. Because I think, like John said, like, you're going to get better into better shape, but how are you going to do it? Running? I hate running. Like, well, I'm sure to get up every morning to get up to do something I hate, as opposed to, like...
Yeah, I already don't want to get up.
Yeah,
like,
you're already like, I have already defeated myself from before the
Yeah.
night even started, right? But if you figure out in advance, what is it, something you love to do that's going to have that aerobic or muscular benefit, you're going to be excited to get up. And like you said, it's that satisfaction piece that leads to the performance. I think it's brilliant.
No, but you're right. I think there is that secret rule that says, like, the more enjoyable it is, the less beneficial. Like,
Yeah.
It's kind of like, call it the ice cream rule. It's like, I know eating ice cream isn't good for me, but I enjoy it. So then you start to internalize that things that are enjoyable aren't healthy, or they're not good, they're not productive.
Yeah.
Right, or we falsely attribute thinking that all healthy people run, so we think that's the course we have to pursue, but we don't know there's 20 people out there who are getting great health benefits from speed underwater basket weaving, right? And
Doing something completely different.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, I mean, just a little example from our lives is, like, I don't like running. Eric and I used to run together, and I like doing some weightlifting, not very often, but Eric and I love going on walks together, and we just did Pilates together for the first time yesterday. Are you okay? I'm putting that on the public podcast.
I guess it's a little too late to pull that back into your
Too late, buddy.
It's out there.
But what was fun is
I need more flexibility.
But the thing is, I thought, you know what? Doing something that we enjoy, that we'll do consistently, that's just better than doing something that we hate, that we're not.
Well, one last quick side take on this. April loves to rollerblade, and people would give her the hardest time, or kids, some of her friends and stuff. But she gets out there on the hills of the places we've lived, and she just loves the experience and the
exhilarating.
The exhilaration there. And it has some health benefits, so it gets her out. She looks forward to getting out and getting those skates on and her helmet and stuff and getting out there, as opposed to, okay, I want you to go run 4 miles.
Yeah, I
not quite as motivating.
No, it's not gonna get you off the couch. So that was the big thing, was figuring out that it mattered, and then helping people. I mean, I think that a lot of what you and I do, and the two of you do, is that we give people permission to change. Because sometimes, like, you can have 1,000 tools, it doesn't matter if I don't feel like I have permission.
Right.
And so I think a lot of what we do, the first stage, is giving somebody permission to go, yes, you. And then kind of figuring out what does your unique form of that look like.
Well, I'm going to give you a little side takeaway here as we kind of move on to maybe another topic, but you're now tasked with figuring out a new acronym to replace SMART, working fun into it, but it needs to be able to be shared in, like, mixed company and not be offensive.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't.
So
yeah,
figure
I don't
that
have
out.
that. I don't have that. I believe me, I've worked in corporate
You just got
America.
that.
I can acronym.
You can well, your task now. I think you can come up with the most revolutionary one to make SMART goals fun.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit. I'm turning to page 35 in case our listeners are following along with the book. Okay, don't you love this, John, that I've got your
I hope
book
so.
in front of me?
Sales.
Okay, so page 35, though, you're talking about saying no to shame, and there is this quote in there I'm going to read where you said, sometimes we say, I should be able to handle all of this. Yes, I've added a new goal to my life that I care about. Yes, I'm trying to put a new daily action into an already crowded calendar, but I should be able to handle it all. Yes, I moved to Atlanta to take care of my ill father-in-law, but I should be able to carry on like nothing has changed. And I think one of the things that I really want to do in this podcast is help give people permission to not try to do everything. So I'm turning it over to you.
Yeah. So the chapter you're talking about is called choosing what to bomb.
Yeah.
And it's this I always tell people you have a choice, shame or strategy. Shame says you can do it all, you should do it all. And then when you try and fail, you feel ashamed. Strategy says during this season, I'm not going to worry about these 3 things. And then when doubt and shame show up and go, hey, you're not doing these 3 things, I'll say, thanks for noticing. I put those down deliberately. Appreciate it. And I'm moving on. I think especially for women, like, I always joke with dads, like, Mom shame is such a toxic thing, and it's new. Like, the thing that women don't understand sometimes is it's fairly new in the sense that in 1985, my mom couldn't compare being a mom to a mom in Seattle, Washington, because she had no access to that lady's life.
Right.
My
Exactly.
mom in Massachusetts couldn't feel bad about what a mom in Dallas was doing. She could compare it like to five moms on her cul-de-sac. Now, because of social media, you can compare your life to every other mom, and it's fascinating to me. It's a very uniquely mom thing. I've never had a dad say to me, "I'm just struggling with dad shame." Like, I spent a lot of time on Instagram, like, comparing myself to my fatherhood to other people's. Like, we don't even. That's not even a phrase.
Right. Even if
Dad
we were there
shame
on
is
Instagram, we're too thick-headed to even kind of go through that mental
no. We
processing,
think
right?
we're
It's like,
great. We're like, oh, great. Like, I'm awesome.
the
And
kids are
so
breathing and they're protected. We're good.
yeah. And so I just believe there are seasons in your life where you need to admit that you're not going to be able to get to that thing. And the biggest one I see is especially parents of young children. Young kids are a crisis. They're a beautiful crisis, but they're a crisis. And nobody tells you that because they want you to propagate the species too. But I meet so many young moms that go, I'm not being as productive as I can be. I'm not finishing enough goals. And I go, well, tell me about your family. And they'll say, well, I have two twin 8-month-olds and a 3-year-old. And I'll say, what do you mean you're not building dreams? Like, you're raising
Yeah.
humans. Like, this isn't the season. On a macro bigger level, like when churches, I'll talk to church leaders, and where they mess up is every church and really every retail outlet in November should sit down and say, here are 10 things we're not going to focus on in December. And we're going to push these off till January because we're not going to act like December is the same month as March. Most churches pretend it is, and they burn out their staff in December because it's such a crazy month. Same with retailers. I worked at Home Depot. We acted like December was like June. It's not. Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy. And so we need to be able to say, hey, you know what? During this season, like when I travel, like it would be insanity on my part when I'm doing a book tour and I'm doing 15 cities to think I need to see my friends as much as I always do. No, I don't. I can't. I'm in Cincinnati. Like, I'm not. That's a stupid goal. So if you say I'm going to add an hour a day of exercise, like, well, who are you taking that hour from? Like,
Right.
and
It's
it's
got to
not a
come from
bad.
somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, it's from something somewhere. And so much rather say, wow, I'm bad at that thing, and I'm way okay at that. And it's not, my favorite. There was a mom in the book that said during busy seasons, her kids know the clothes get clean but not folded and put away. And I love that her kids can look at themselves and go, oh, I'm wrinkled. Mom's really busy right now.
Right.
Or the meals get simple. Like, I think the biggest sham we play on our kids is breakfast supper, where we overhype breakfast supper and our kids are like, breakfast supper. And inside you're like, all I'm doing is scrambling some eggs, you suckers. So I think there's times in life to go like, in order to serve these customers, I don't get to chase these other customers, and that's okay. Like, I
Right.
want I want these people. Like, could my company handle 100,000 people taking one of my courses right now? It honestly couldn't. Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna grow and be deliberate and super serve, like, and that's fine, and that's the right pace.
Right, I think that's a great perspective. There's actually a book I read earlier in my life, and I love the way that the author actually coined that phrase. He called it focused imbalance. That there are these times and seasons of our lives, and it can be a month here, it could be a week there, whatever, but you're deliberate. You step back and recognize in the bigger picture of things, there's going to be a focused imbalance for whatever thing you're kind of putting in emphasis. Some of the things have to be kind of downplayed a little bit more. And just one other thing is, can you mention kind of the moms are trying to do so much, and I think it's applicable to other segments of our society. But one of the things that I struggle with and try to encourage people to get past is this idea of saying, right? I'm just, and if they're talking about their kids or raising a family or staying at home, it's just, I'm just doing this. But it's like, in the grand scheme of things, like you said, what are you kidding? You are building dreams, you're building people. And I think we tend to forget to look at it in the 85, 90-year scheme of things. What we're currently doing this year or this month or this week, yeah, it's a slight aberration, but it isn't the whole picture.
No, the picture's much bigger.
So I would love to talk a little bit about hiding places at this point, because let's say we assume, okay, we've got our goals in place. We're actually setting pretty realistic goals for our time and season in life, and they're fun goals. They're things that we actually are excited about achieving. But then you really hit the nail on the head when you're talking about how we end up going into these hiding places. And maybe just two that I think would be fun to talk about are time wasters and then productivity. Because first of all, time wasters, we all kind of know, like, yeah, right, here's some of the things that I do when I don't want to get something else done. But then productivity in another area, that can often be, yeah, a hiding place for not moving forward on a goal that really does matter to us. You want to share a little more on that?
Yeah, so the time wasters, you're right. Like, you don't have to convince me, like, hey, binge watching on Netflix doesn't move the ball forward. Like, I would never be like, what? You're crazy. Of
Yeah.
course it's helpful. I'm learning communication skills. Like, that one's silly, but I think it's real. I mean, the average
Yeah.
American watches 35 hours of TV a week. So
Yeah.
that's almost a full-time job. And that's according to Nielsen. That's not like an internet stat. So I think you have to look at time wasters. I mean, I just say it's like anything. If you wanted to know where to get more time, I'd say, well, where's your time going? And then you'd go, I have no idea. And then I'd ask you to do like a time audit, and you'd be like, I don't do that. And then I'd be like, then you don't want to change your life. I mean, like, or you do it. And so like time wasters are one thing. The hiding places are interesting to me, especially in the face of productivity, because you can move and clean and reorganize. Like, productivity is never done. Like, there's some things in our life where the finish is about getting it done effectively and then repeating it. So like, I would never say to any mom, I'll show you how to finish laundry. Well, if you're wearing clothes tomorrow, it's not finished. Like, I'll show you how to finish email. And so I think that's one of my favorite ones, is email as a hiding place, where you go and you're like, I got to get to inbox zero, and I'm creating new folders, and I'm reading the 17th different version of how to be productive. And I haven't done any of them, but this is the new one. And I think it's going to be the one. And so I always, a great example of a hiding place is if you go there naturally. We never naturally go to something difficult. So I've never met somebody that said, I sat down to watch Stranger Things and I ended up doing burpees. Like, it was really weird. Like, I just started getting in shape. Or like, I've never met somebody who's like, I went to go get a cheeseburger, I ended up getting kale. Like, I don't even know how it happened. Like,
Yeah, it's crazy how that works out.
right? Like, we unfortunately, as humans, we don't tend to lean that direction. You have to be deliberate. And so coupled onto that is the idea of what I call a noble obstacle, which is when you spend your time doing something that looks helpful and productive, but is really a hiding place. And the example I give in the book is the guy, friend of the family. I had to change their names because I didn't want to embarrass him. But his wife was like, I want you to get the garage cleaned and organized. And he said, why don't I do a garage sale? Which sounds great, like money for the family. I'm being productive. I'm on board. But the reality is he threw up 37 complications. Like, there are so many steps between, like, throwing stuff away versus organizing a garage sale. The projects are completely different. But I think the most deceptive ones are when you refuse to chase a dream or a goal and you throw your kids under the bus. You go, I would do that, but I need to be around my kids more. And like, you want to go, oh, your kids are up at 5 a.m.? Like, that's weird. Like, they're up at 11 p.m. Like, when you could hustle on this. And I meet a lot of would-be entrepreneurs or people who could be more productive that say, I would do this, but I don't want to become a workaholic. And they act like there's only two options: ignore a dream and have it grow into bitterness and frustration, or become a workaholic almost overnight. And I think sometimes we say that because then, like, people around us go, you're good for you. You're making a sacrifice. Like, good for you. Where the reality is, we're hiding and we're taking the coward's way out of blaming it on our kids. Like, for shame if we say to our, like, what lesson is that to our kids? Your dad, your mom could have been something, but because of you, we didn't. Like, no,
So
the kid.
smart.
The kid could say, get your butt up at 4 a.m. We're not throwing the ball in the backyard at 4 a.m. Like, that's not my fault.
Well, and I think what happens too is we then project those feelings onto other people. Like, you might think, oh, well, that person who's successful, they must not have as strong as a marriage as I do, or I bet they don't spend as much time with their family as I
Oh,
do.
100%. 100. Like, and my favorite thing I've ever written is the chapter on our secret rules. And cuckoos and
Yes.
kind of like that story, like I show a picture of that on stage and like people gasp because it's a picture of a bird of one species feeding a cuckoo. And it's fascinating, but like that for me, the secret rule that prevents people from being successful is one of the most toxic, because somewhere down the road, like, it might have been a mom that saw somebody with a nice car and they said, must be nice. And the must be nice came with other words. Like, every word comes with another word. And must be nice is saying, must be nice for that person to not care about other people and be so selfish and have a car that's just for them and be wasteful. Like, and a kid hears that enough, or hears, her dad's never around because he cares more about business more, and they're successful. And so like then it morphs into people that go, like my friend in the book who says that CEO makes a bunch of money at, how do you think he sleeps at night? And I wanted to say probably on Hungarian down pillows, probably pretty well. But in his mind, he had an arbitrary amount of money that was okay, and then a line that was evil.
Once you cross that line, that next dollar makes you an evil person. And I think what you said is
and
absolutely
like
right.
who sets that up?
Right.
Like who, like, I mean, on a much smaller level. So this year I wanted to read a bunch of books. And so I've been reading a bunch of books. I decided, you know what? I'm going to add audiobooks because when I'm on a flight or when I'm driving a car, like I'm going to add audiobooks. So I'll post an audiobook and somebody go, well, that doesn't count. And I always want to go, according to who? Like, whose standard am I living up to for the John Acuff book reading challenge?
John, there is
like,
a universal authority on what counts as book reading, and clearly you didn't clear it with them.
Like, what would the title be? John Acuff's book reading challenge as judged by Bill Smith? Like, so part of it, like, if you've got rigid rules like that, then like organizing's hard, being productive's hard. What counts, like, it's not as like. I think bullet journaling is fascinating. I think it's a huge possible spot for comparison too, where people are like, I could get organized just writing down my to-do list. But I have to have stickers and calligraphy and it needs to be 3-dimensional. I mean, it's the same with moms at Scrapbook. They're like, because I can't be a pro, I won't even keep pictures of my kids. And you're like, oh, that's not good.
It's either all or nothing. Well, I think what you and April were both bringing up, this idea of it projecting, I mean, those mindsets, first of all, absolutely affect you as an individual. They do project out onto the people around you in your society. But like you said, they filter down generation to generation. I mean, it really does affect what the mindsets that we have, stepping back and doing that inventory, like you said, that analysis. How many of the mindsets that we have came from our parents and the things we learned there? And to your last point about this idea of get up and do the work at 4 a.m., we're not throwing the ball then. I've seen actually a lot of people that we've met and are really impressed by who, as their kids have gotten a little older, they find ways to involve them in their work, their hustle, their efforts.
Oh, yeah. And the kids are fascinated.
They're fascinated. They do really well with it. It creates a whole different mindset and a paradigm for them. And I think that's where we can kind of change things on a generational shift level, is figuring out how do we overcome our own mindsets and then transfer that mindset to our children and our grandchildren and beyond.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. My daughter, like, I'll definitely tell people go buy the book, but like my daughter Ellie has a YouTube channel, so you should go subscribe.
Oh, that's awesome.
To her YouTube channel. She's Life with Ellie, at the letter L, the letter E, and like I'll promote it every now and then because she's like, hey, make sure you promote it. Here's what you need to say. Like
she made me here.
She made like $5,000 one summer because she made bracelets that she would sell at high school speaking events that I would do. Absolutely. And she would say, make sure you say they're handmade, make sure you say they're, that I'll be over there, that they're made by a kid. And like, she crushed it. So yeah, I think the tension is always, you want to involve them. You don't want to involve them your way. You want to involve them their way.
Yes.
And exactly. So like you figure that, but that's everything for a kid, like, what works for last night, great example. We went and watched my oldest daughter in her band performance, and my youngest daughter and I sat with each other. And there wasn't a second that I thought, why isn't my youngest daughter doing band? Like, she didn't want to do it. Like, If anything, I'm proud of her for knowing pretty quickly, like, nah, I'm good. Like, that's not my thing. Like, I'm going to do swimming. I'm going to do some other stuff. So, like, I was excited for her.
Absolutely. Well, I think it is. I mean, you're not trying to make them go in any one certain path, but like what the world offers, what the global economy, the internet makes possible, it isn't all about being a great business or marketer, which it sounds Ellie is, but it's just this idea of letting them pursue their passions, their dreams, because too often I think in the old world, it's like, well, don't pursue your dream. And now in the new world, they're saying dreams can never pay anything. But it's like if you pursue the right dream, and I love that hedgehog principle that comes out of good to great, it's finding that thing you're passionate about that you can become one of the best in the world at, and that the world wants and will pay for. If you can help your child or yourself find that, you are going to go a long, long way and be very happy. You'll be having fun achieving those goals.
Yeah, I think the world, what's fun for us is that we kind of grew up in the world before this and then the world of this. And so like part of our job is to help our kids go like the rules don't apply the same way they used to.
Right.
Like I would, like you guys doing your business, what I do for my business, like that's what's fun. I tell people all the time, people will be like, I kind of missed my moment with the internet. I'm like, dude, it's barely started. Like, it's barely begun. Like, there's so much.
You're like, you're right. Sleep in. It's all good.
Yeah, like, I always tell people, like, if the internet is a teenager, social media is a toddler. Like, we're barely, And so I want my kids, like, if my daughter said, you know what, Dad, I want to do a traditional thing, I want to go to college, I want to have a traditional job, awesome, go for it. But I would still beg them to have a side thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think everybody needs to be an entrepreneur, because I really don't. I mean, in the same way, I don't think everybody needs to be a plumber.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I think everybody should have a side thing. Like, I think the side thing is like the greatest thing ever. And it's like, once you realize that, like, there's a money faucet you can turn on and off, like, it's amazing. Like, I can't imagine having a job where I couldn't, with my effort, increase my revenue. Like,
Yeah.
that's bonkers.
It's a great point.
So I want to talk a little bit about this candle effect when we are in the process of pursuing a goal, because what I think happens is the energy we feel as we think about the potential, like what you've just been talking about with Ellie and her bracelets, or as we're building our own businesses, and you get excited and you think, oh, there's potential, there's capability, and look, I get to use my talents. But then sometimes as you're working, it doesn't really feel all that exciting. I mean, you know this. You've been building your business from scratch. Same with me and Eric, building the business from scratch. And there's this great quote from your book, page 124, for those of you following along, that says, "When you light a candle in a pitch black room without windows, the effects are dramatic. Going from complete dark to light is substantial progress. The difference is obvious and immediately felt. Lighting a second candle has a big effect too, albeit not as big. The third candle is still impressive, but not as impressive, and this diminishing continues until the impact of a new candle is hardly noticed. The 15th candle would barely register on your brightness scale." And I think that starts to happen as you're growing and developing. I mean, let's say you're a runner and you're shaving 2 seconds off of your mile because you're running this 5-minute mile or something like that. But what do you feel helps in this case when you aren't seeing dramatic progress being made?
Well, there's really three things people kind of think of. Well, there's two popular things people measure, and then there's the right thing. So the first thing they measure is they measure motivation. A lot of people will tell me, I'll say, "Why'd you quit?" And they'll go, "You know what? I just lost steam. My heart wasn't in it. I wasn't as excited as when I started. It wasn't as fun." And so what they've done there is they've treated motivation like a canary in a coal mine. And when the motivation on day 10 was different than day 1, they go, this is an indication I should quit. And it should be different on day 10 than day 1.
Yeah.
So then that's the wrong thing to look at. So then the second thing they go to is they go to the results. And they go, okay, if I can't measure motivation, I'm going to measure results. And they look at the results and they say, man, these results just aren't here. Like, I guess that's an indication I should quit. And so they look at those two things. And the reality that nobody likes to talk about is we don't control the results. I control maybe the first 30 to 50,000 copies of my book sold. I do not control Kathy Lee Gifford seeing it in her dentist office and putting it on the Today Show. Every song, like, I'm surrounded by too many talented people in Nashville who haven't made it to believe that your effort always equals your results. Yeah. It doesn't. So back to that word effort, the third and only thing you should really measure is your effort. So the only thing I control is my effort. I might not sell X amount of books, but I feel better. Like, and this isn't new. Like, it's crazy. The older you get, the more you realize the things your parents said were true. So, like, growing up, I couldn't stand when my parents would say, "It doesn't matter if you win or lose. It's how you played or if you gave your all." And be like, that's garbage. Now, what a comforting thing that is. Like, when I work my hardest on a launch, I mean, everyone who ever launches a product has this experience. You work your hardest, you launch it, and 4 people buy it the first day. And you're like, it was a huge failure. I'm so upset. And then you have to realize, like, no, there's going to be a lot of sales in the last day there's going to be, but when I've looked at the effort, I can see, okay, I've done what I can do. I've owned what I can own. I don't feel bad because I've controlled the parts I can control. So when somebody gets discouraged that the light, going from complete darkness to 1 candle is amazing. Going from 100 candles to 101, it doesn't even register. I say, well, let's look at your effort. Like, celebrate the thing you did that you can own, and the results will build over time.
Yeah. I think that's super helpful. Go ahead.
No, so I just say, like, the results are going to work over time. The effort is the thing that on a daily basis you can say, okay, and if you come to a point where you're trying the same thing over and over again, it's not getting any results, then maybe you do need to change it. Like, it's okay for you to say, wow, I don't think, wow, I think people will pay more when my things make them money, like versus just make them feel good. I should figure out how to make my thing help them make more money. I could probably increase my results with my effort. Let's see what that looks like.
Yeah, I think that's so smart to be able to tie your direct efforts to how you feel about the results. Because I know that was something that I struggled with when Eric and I first started our business. It was like, Eric, I can't control what people think about the stuff I put out there, and I felt kind of this pressure. Like, I felt like I didn't even want to set goals about even, revenue or numbers of people impacted because I just felt like I didn't have the capability to control that. But being able to say, hey, I'm going to try this new thing that I think people will like, and I'm going to put these projects into place, and then we're going to test it, and then we're going to keep trying, and we're going to keep reworking. The more you learn how to rework and rework, you learn how to, learn from the people in your communities or learn from the people in your family. What's working? How can we change it? How can we consistently edit? And that editing process, I think a lot of people overlook that. They just think, well, I should just get immediate success the moment I, publish that first book or the moment I put together that first bracelet, where a lot of times it comes as a response to that feedback from the people you're serving.
Oh yeah, I love, one of the books I'm kind of in the middle of right now is Principles by Ray Dalio, multi-billionaire, like one of the few people that called the 2008 housing crisis. And one of his principles is I seek out people that disagree with me to make sure that they're not right. Like I want to go find out like, oh, maybe they know something. Like, I don't know. And like the deliberate action of going, wow, they believe the opposite. Let me go figure out what's going on. Like, what are they seeing I'm not? And he doesn't do it as a like, I'll prove them wrong. He does it as, I hope they prove me wrong because being wrong sucks. Like, let me figure that out. And so I really like that approach of going, okay, and then from there I can grow and there I can figure it out and there I can improve. Otherwise, I get kind of stuck.
Yeah, I think it comes from seeing all sides of the perspectives. Like I said, with like Dalio, it's that idea of seeing the other perspectives. Because if you're in the minority and you are right, you have a great opportunity ahead of you, whether it's in business and finance or lots of other opportunities out there. And I really like what April just said about this idea of editing and reworking, because it is about the effort. And I think we need to gauge ourselves. Maybe you can correct me if you think I'm off here, John, but like we want to gauge our results, some of the results that are coming in, to kind of see if our efforts really are helping to move in the right direction. So I think it's keeping the motivation strong, keeping an eye on the effort or the results, but like the effort is driven by that rework, that retooling it, and it's really, I think, adding into the effort is the why, right? What are we meant to do and why are we doing it? Because as you built your community, as we're building ours, we love to see these people kind of come and gather with us who we really are doing our very best to serve them, and they feel needs being served. And so literally that will bolster your motivation, that will actually drive results, but it's all consistent with keeping that eye and the focus and the energy on your efforts and the why you're doing it.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I think you monitor the results like a maniac.
Yeah.
I just don't think they're your fuel.
You're not motivated by them.
Yeah, it's not. I mean, you can get encouraged by them, but like, I think one of the whole chapters of Finish is about the importance of data.
Yep.
Because it allows you to see where you're headed, if you're headed in the right direction, if it's working, why is it working? I think that's wonderful. So yeah, and I'm not a huge naturally data-driven person. I just know, the phrase I always use is that data kills denial, which prevents disaster. And so I'd rather you be an expert at data. I just don't want you to say the result, I quit or continue based on what the results tell me. Because usually, like, even if they're good results, we've all had it where like we had some pie in the sky thought. And like, you sold 1,000 and you thought, well, it'd be great if we could sell 10,000. And if you had data would go, well, you sold 40 last time, so tell me why you should sell 9,600 more. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And just to pique the interest of the people listening here in our community, he has a great story about data beats denial, and it involves ants and squirrels. We won't give any more away than that, but April seriously pulled me aside. It's like, Eric, I've got to read you a story.
I was reading your book out loud, little pieces to each of my family members, just laughing around the house. Yeah. I mean, you're a funny guy.
Well, this stuff's ridiculous. And so, that's my differentiator. It's, we can talk about stuff like this all day. It's just that idea that like you figure out what you enjoy and what the market needs and what people need.
Well,
and so
oh, sorry, John, keep going.
I like for humor to be part of it. So that's part of why I get to write that way.
Well, just kind of close out the whole data and using it to analyze things. I mean, I loved in your book, you actually gave, I think it was 23 different types of data that you could be looking at and analyzing. That's really easy to see in natural life. It doesn't require, huge spreadsheets and databases and regression analysis. It's 23 types of things that we as humans typically do and can see progress in, monitor that effort and the way we're progressing. So I love that.
Yeah, so
Well,
great.
thanks.
Those are on pages 148. You guys want to check those out.
You are seriously book noting
I
this.
I'm dog-eared. I've got little post-its in here because it was a great book, and that's why I wanted to bring you on the show. Okay, and then I think we could just finish off. I want to talk about the day before done because I did have to laugh because it was so funny last night when I was preparing for the podcast, and I thought, oh my goodness, I have one more chapter I never finished. And so I went to read it, and it was talking about the day before done and about how a lot of people won't finish their project or goal because they're afraid of something or because it's working for them not to finish. We talked about the artist who would continually, scrap their work because it wasn't perfect, or the man who's building the boat who kept dismantling the boat because he was afraid of water. Once I build this boat, now I've got to go out in the water, and I don't want to do that. It was even things like when I was first putting together our website, I was terrified to launch it because I felt like I am starting a hamster wheel that I'm going to have to maintain now, or I'm going to look stupid if I don't keep it going. So maybe talk a little bit about that, what you do when you have those fears, like, well, if I finish, then it means something that I'm not really able to look at without feeling scared to death.
Yeah, I mean, it's a great example of that is I can, if I write a book that stays on my computer, no one ever judges it.
Yeah.
The second I share it with the world, like, it's exposed.
Right.
So, like, I think the myth is that, and again, part of why I wrote this book was that nobody, like, if you go to Amazon and type in the word finish, the first 20 results are finished laundry detergent, And so we just don't talk about it. And I think the myth around this particular part is, hey, you know what? The closer you get to the finish line, it's like a magnet that pulls you. Like, you get so excited, and it's so like, no. And I just think there's so many almost finished things. And so I think you had, like, for me personally, awareness is a huge gift. Knowing something's going to happen gives you the chance to be like, oh, that's right. I always feel this way. Like, I should be ready for this. So, like, I should be ready to throw up obstacles at the end. I think one of the things is people go, well, what will I do after? And the way you prevent that is that during the project, when a new idea comes up, I call it kind of stacking the finish line. So, for instance, I wanted to do a podcast when I was writing finish. And the main reason I wanted to do one was that way I wouldn't have to finish. So I said, okay, podcast, I'm putting you at the finish line of this book. When I cross the finish line, I can start working on you. So, like, if you want to get rid of the what do I do now, have 50 ideas waiting for you. Yeah. And so you finish the one, and suddenly there's not that pressure. There's a sense of like, oh, yeah, all these gifts I hit on the finish line. I forgot about some of you. Like, hey, it takes a lot of that pressure. And then the other thing I tell people, I think this is an idea that started with writing, but it applies to other parts of life. And the idea is that it's your next finish, not your last finish. The reason people don't finish books is that right as they get ready to finish, 50,000 new ideas show up. And they act like it's the last book they'll ever write, and they have to slam them all in. Or if you've ever seen a speech that was terrible, that had 7 endings, it was because the person giving it was like, this is my one shot. I'll never get to give another speech. And they added every idea. So I tell people, this is your next business thing you're finishing, not your last one. You got 10 great ideas, great, put them in the next one. And so, like, it takes away some of the pressure of the world will change when I finish. Because, like, there's that fear. When fear says, what if the finish isn't like you thought it'd be? It's never like that. If you've ever published a book, you walk around that day thinking, like, the crust of the earth is going to shake. And, dude, like, nobody's life is different except yours. And that's intimidating. So, like, there's all this kind of built up anticipation. And I think it's your job to recognize that and kind of go, okay, here's what this means. Here's how I work within it.
And I think also as you're talking about stacking the finish line, getting excited, what is it that's going to change? I think it's really acknowledging all the people whose lives are going to be impacted when you work on something like a book, like a podcast, like, this activity at the elementary school, whatever it is that you're doing, thinking that, or remembering it's not about you. I actually put that on my screensaver as we were building our business, just a screensaver that says it's not about you, because I needed to remember every day, April, who cares if you're stressed out, or who cares if you're afraid, or who cares if this feels scary to you? you're not doing this for you. You're doing this because you believe you have something that's going to make someone else's life better. And by you holding back, you're just keeping it from other people who you could lift and help, who really need what you have to offer.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah, and it makes it a bigger conversation than just I'm my own little person in an office.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Eric, any
Well, I was
final
going to say, I was
words?
going to throw this might sound like a really silly analogy. As you're describing that whole process, I was thinking to myself, yeah, after you get kind of over halfway, get the project really rolling, you kind of have this downhill momentum. But as you were describing what people really are doing to themselves mentally and psychologically and emotionally, I started thinking about a lot of these TV shows that we have in America, maybe globally, of Americans or people going through these obstacle courses, right? And I think we think, okay, there's this downhill progression, but usually the biggest obstacle, this huge wall you've got to get to the top of, or somebody shooting things at you, for American Gladiator style, you've got that to contend with. So I think it's actually a helpful mindset to realize, okay, I've got momentum, I'm drawing toward that finish line, but maybe saving some of your best energy and your best ability to overcome some of those doubts or fears you'll have, as well as the effort of getting that final piece out into the world or doing whatever it is to kind of lock it up. You might need some of your best energy and your best motivation.
Oh yeah,
right
not
there.
sure. Yeah, the kind of the analogy I always think of is with marathons. If you run to music, and a lot of people don't, but if you do, they say plan 4 or 5 slow songs at the beginning of your race, because the temptation is in the excitement of the gun going off and all that, you overrun. And so they say, good runners say, go, have a real chill song at the beginning so that you can have some energy for the end.
That's a great
I love
analogy.
that. Okay, so tell us where to go find the book. If somebody doesn't have the book yet, where do you want them to land?
Yeah, so you can get it on Amazon. It's available everywhere. You can go to acuff.me, which is acuff.me, or finishcourse.com. And then Twitter. I'm on Twitter as John Acuff, JON, ACUFF, and then Instagram. And then LinkedIn. I'm loving LinkedIn these days. It's the least sexy social media, but I love it. My results are fantastic on LinkedIn.
That's
So
awesome.
I'm going old school. I'm on LinkedIn now.
I love that. No, we're just getting started on there too.
Well, just in case anyone out there listening to our community isn't aware of John, he's written a number of other great books. We won't take all the time to plug, but definitely search him out, John Acuff, Jon Acuff, on Amazon, because he's got a lot of great books that actually tie into this theme of finally getting to the finish line of finishing. So definitely some great stuff to check out there on his website. I know he's got a couple of great programs that even April and I have been through. And he does some great work. And he's a great writer, and I hope you can tell he's funny as can be. So
Every time I get
Well,
one of your
thanks,
books,
guys.
I feel like I'm opening. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have fun. Reading this book is going to be
Well,
fun.
good. That's certainly what I hope for.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for
thanks,
joining
John,
us
for
today,
joining us.
John.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you so much for joining us today at Learn, Do, Become Radio. John is such a fun speaker and writer, and we hope that you got some great ideas for setting and achieving really fun goals for 2018. Now, I recognize a lot of people listening to our podcast right now are actually coming from the future. So right now, while you're listening, it is not December of 2017. You can totally just disregard this announcement. But we are doing a special promotion of Michael Hyatt's Best Year Ever program right now. And with that, a beta launch of our Life Architecture program. So those who join the Best Year Ever VIP or Best Year Ever Live get Life Architecture beta for 2018 totally free. There's some great details, and you can find that on learndobecome.com/episode 23, episode 23. And if you want to check out our Facebook page, you can see Facebook Lives we've been doing and announcements, and there's a Facebook group and all of that we've got linked there. And regardless of when you're listening, come check out our Facebook page. It's just facebook.com/Learn, Do, Become, and Learn, Do, Become is all one word. Eric and I are even getting ready to go to Tennessee for Best Year Ever Live, and we already have some members of our Learn, Do, Become community meeting us there, which is going to be so fun. So if it works for you to come to Tennessee, January 3rd and 4th is when the conference is going to be. We'll go have dinner together. Wouldn't that be fun? Connect from the internet. Okay. So glad you're here with us. Thank you. Have a great day. And remember, you can find links to John's stuff and to the Best Year Ever Life Architecture launch at learndobecome.com/episode 23. So glad you're here. Take care.